I want to warmly welcome you to the graduation ceremony for the Nomad MFA. I have a few housekeeping items as we get started. You are muted and your screens are off, and we would like you to keep it that way. So please make sure that you stay muted for the quality of this presentation. If you have to leave the call, you can rejoin us. You would use the same link and come back in. Sometimes there are moments where Zoom will boot you out, and then you can rejoin using the same link. This is being recorded for future viewing, so please be aware of that. And finally, because we are in COVID and we are wearing our masks for safety, you may occasionally see people who are speaking have to take a breath of air and take a moment to breathe comfortably. And we have told each speaker to do that so that everyone can remain breathing well. We are broadcasting today from the unceded ancestral territories of the Podunk, Tunxis, Wangunk, and Sequog peoples. We honor the past, present, and future Native communities of Connecticut and all the living beings on this land. It is a privilege to be here, close to the waters of the beautiful Connecticut River. We are in the Joseloff Gallery of the Hartford Art School within the Confluence exhibition on the campus of the University of Hartford in Hartford. And I have with me the Nomad MFA class of 2020 and their thesis advisors, Christy Gast and Mary Mattingly. Caroline Woolard will be joining us via Zoom, and we will also be bringing in a special guest with a message for the graduates, who I'll introduce momentarily. Our graduates are Jarrod Cluck, Gina R. Furnari, Stowe Len, Leslie Sobel, and Rachel Wojnar. Welcome again. If you're not yet familiar with the Nomad MFA, we are a present and future form of the Master of Fine Arts. We go hyper-local during pandemic, we go deep into the fundamental questions of our time, and we do our part to dismantle destructive systems through radical creativity based in regenerative practices. Regenerative practices are rooted in love and care. Regenerative practices are visionary and hard work. They help us see ourselves with fresh eyes and build new containers for our art, education, and community. We have been doing this for 5 years, and we now see how the program has taken hold. We are no longer a small sprout, as we have become a robust, growing program. It works. Today we are celebrating, and it's so good to see so many of you joining us through Zoom. Our program today is all about lifting up our graduates and honoring their hard work. They have demonstrated their ability to be vulnerable in order to grow. They have shared their creativity and brilliance. We mark this moment as a capstone in one of many arches in their continuing education as artists. They have created a resilient and adaptive community, and we could not be more proud of them. Before we go on to the program, I want to pay tribute to all of the family and friends and the wider community of each of us here today, students, faculty, and staff. You have each provided the space for your artists to grow and learn, and to leave town for weeks at a time to attend our residencies. This afternoon, we honor you too, and I picture all of you as honeybees, doing the work needed to make honey that provided nutrition and protection for your artist. A honeybee, over its lifetime, produces 1 teaspoon of honey, and the hive holds thousands of bees, just as our community has thousands who have supported us. They include ancestors, human and non-human beings, and you. Thank you to each of you at home for supporting our community and for being pollinators in your own way. For our graduation today, you'll first hear from our special guest, who I'll introduce in a moment, and then Christy Gast one of our thesis advisors, will perform a piece she has written for the occasion of this exhibition. Then Mary Mattingly will make her remarks, also present here, followed by zooming in Caroline Woolard. And then we will hand out the diplomas and we'll conclude our graduation ceremony. Our special guest is Roxanne Swentzell. Roxanne is joining us from Quepao, Owinge in New Mexico, also known as Santa Clara Pueblo. We learned so much from Roxanne and her family when they welcomed us during our residency in New Mexico in 2018. Roxanne's son, Porter Swentzell, who is a scholar of Indigenous humanities and a dean at the Institute of American Indian Arts, oriented us to Tewa culture. And Roxanne's daughter, Rose B. Simpson, a renowned interdisciplinary artist, welcomed us to her art practice and introduced us to Maria, the El Camino. Nicole Lovato provided quiet wisdom and support as we lived together, told stories around the fire each night, and made community. Roxanne is phenomenal. She's an artist, native food activist, farmer, grandmother, tribal member, and so much more. She welcomed us to camp on her land, learn how to work in relationship to wild clay, and she fed us an entire diet of native foods while we did this, introducing us to so many delicious flavors and ancient ways of preparing food. Please give Roxanne a warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me all right? Are you hearing me? Imbiak-Gindi. With respect, I come to you from the land of the Pueblo Indians of northern New Mexico, Kap-o-o-Winge. I am a Native American woman, farmer, builder, grandmother, dreamer, and a fellow artist. My native name is Ojegipovi, or frost flower, because I was born in the winter. My American name is Roxanne Swentzell, named after my grandmother and my father. A year and a half ago, I was privileged to spend a very special week with 5 of the cohort graduating today. They came and stood on unknown ground out here in the high desert of northern New Mexico, ready to soak in whatever came their way. We shared stories, cultural ways, knowledge, clay, new old foods, and a corn drink we call atole. Maybe it was standing by fires, trying to keep warm, watching the flames dance that helped make it all feel magical, or the snow falling around our tents in dead silence. But the week was multidimensional. The land and these students spoke to each other in many ways. I've taught more than a few classes in my life, but these amazing students had a way of participating that was at a higher level. Their focus was holistic and humble, yet brave, daring to look at the hard stuff and try to remedy it with open minds. Nothing went unnoticed in this group, and I found myself soaking in their light and love. It was a delight to spend this time with such open-minded and intelligent beings. Jarrod, Gina, Leslie, Stowe, Rachel, and the other cohorts, you stay in my heart to this day. I want to thank Carol Padberg for creating this amazing Nomad MFA cohort program and allowing me to be part of their experience. What an extraordinary way to learn. As I look through their thesis show, Confluence, I remembered each one of them happily. Nice job, guys. I am so honored to get to reconnect on this day to acknowledge them for their hard work and congratulate them for this big milestone, but also to remind them of staying on track and continuing their journey. On this day, graduates, you find yourself standing at a door about to take your next steps. We have some big decisions to make, but first let's take a moment to put it all in perspective. This modern life of endless consuming capitalistic colonial ways have been tested over and over again and have come short of the blessings of our ancestors. Shame on us if we continue on this path of destruction. In the beautiful words of Robin Wall Kimmerer, we need to remember to live as if your children's future matters, to take care of the land as if our lives and the lives of all our relatives depend on it, because they do. They do. As I sit writing, our skies here are filled with the smoke from the California fires. The temperature 4 days ago was in the hundreds, and the next day it was snowing. We are seeing more and more extremes. We are all feeling the unrest. I believe that what we do in the next few years are vital. We have a lot of work to do. Whether we survive or not may depend on the decisions we are making now. May we act as if we care enough to have a future. May we act as if we care about all of our relations, the two-legged, four-legged, winged, small, large, water, plant, and animal, land, and spirit. Let us not become colonizers, thinking only about our own individual greed, but remember reciprocity, kindness, and respect for all life. Let us remember we are part of a larger organism. What we do to one part of this creation affects all parts. I know without a doubt that if we move forward with hearts filled with care, we will not go wrong. Our intentions matter, and our united intentions are powerful. Today, my dear graduates, we are asking for your help. You have shown yourselves to be thoughtful, insightful, caring, brave, beautiful, daring, loving, and creative. You are our leaders now. Show us a different way, a better way. We wait excitedly for your creations. As artists, you can cross lines, all lines. In this way, you can connect what needs to reconnect, to heal and grow. It will take creative minds to dare do what may need to be done to connect us once again to the one, the Earth family. The language of connection is in the relationship we make with our natural world. Calling all artists, whether you are poets, farmers, sculptors, hunters, potters, engineers, cooks, builders, dancers, scientists, weavers, singers, writers, thinkers, teachers, painters. We need you. The water, air, land, seeds, soil, animals, plants are waiting for us to join them in the dance of life. We need to remember our purpose again, to care for ourselves and each other again, because we remembered we are one. Life is a miracle. It matters. Let's live as if it matters. This is my prayer, and this is my blessing to you. Take my hand, and I will take yours, and we can do this together. Thank you, and congratulations.
I'm Christy Gast, an artist and faculty in the Nomad MFA program. And C3, I'll be your mirror. Anthropocentric tendencies of control have created an aquatic dumpster
for human toxicity in its algal blooms. We must acknowledge the magnitude and alternative geometries of the Anthropocene and archive a year of changing seasons in areas we hold as public or in trust. To almanac, a verb, to anticipate. Art is compassion, the wayfinder in these temporal loops of being and becoming. Art can be a positive virus, blurring the boundaries between beings and shedding light on the cascading impacts, colonial residue, and complexities of the places where we live and work. Art has the ability to prepare us for the collective work on the ground, in the streets, and on the water. A life's work that has no horizon in sight, only to be built on new beginnings. Available science on the site of this new work arrives in the form of a bird's eye view. Burrow into this balance, this dynamism, and begin building, dwelling, thinking. Connect the dots and acknowledge the grief about the colonization and displacement of indigenous peoples. Create spaces for societal structure, infrastructure, land use, and personal narrative to overlap. Craft arises as a phenomenological skill practiced in and with the environment, requiring us to cut up techniques, to dig, to locate the dynamism of edge space, to engage in ecological thinking making. This work is decolonial and hydrofeminist, maintaining solidarity across all. We must decolonize our relationship to land and people, decolonize our minds and spirits, distill big, complex problems into something that the viewer can hold in their hand. Dirt dreams. Edges are the element that brings forth reality, where we can embrace the impermanence, practice enlivenment, and abandon emotional distancing and objectification. Ecotones are transitional ecosystems where an ethic of land is developed, blending emotion, data, and poetics. Entanglements form through compounding past relations and the possibilities of future ones. Eras of land use, conflicting agendas, and non-human activity overlap like eukaryotic cell evolution based on symbiosis and experience. Foam, future of a material, is a genre-fluid practice of printmaking, performance, sound, video, photography, and installation that gives visibility to the unseen. Far-off places and immersive scales are blended in a feedback cycle that foregrounds connectivity. Gomitaku, or trash impression, begets grief and heaviness. Use these tools in Great Egg Harbor Bay, the Potomac River, Song Saigon, the Gulf of Mexico hypoxic zone, and other habitats by repeatedly, habitually being present with troubled waters. Contend with harmful algae blooms caused by an overabundance of phosphorus and nitrogen in agricultural runoff, with bisphenol A, the plasticizer that disrupts the heteronormative logic of reproduction. Habitat, where bodies, water, land, sea, sky, and light come together, holds the habits of beings and shows how our world flows through transcorporeal boundaries. Practice seeing through a hydro-embodied, interdisciplinary, bicultural lens. How do I reach across the gap of time towards this horizon? I, the artist, act as the medium. If to dwell is to construct with care, then imagine death in terms of symbiosis, impermanence, and cyclical systems, rather than a linear anthropocentric view. What might that look like? Immortalize the essence of the human individual's inability to comprehensively process the impending death of the planet. Recognize the interconnectedness of environmental and bodily abuse, internal and external. Invoke care and healing. Interwoven knowing and being land ethics help us learn to dwell better, to shed the limits of reason, look to the soil, and lovingly trace the contours. This is making with mass death. Material properties inform the possibilities. Mycology, not an apple, enlivens an old and new ontoepistemological methodology. Imagine Lake Erie hypoxia as a luminosity. Make the invisible and incomprehensible into something accessible. Mood and emotion offer multiple modes of entry into more than human hydrocommons. We are neurotic sacks of water-filled flesh that constantly leak and subsist off of other bodies of water. This is an observation. I observe myself observing climate change, observing Old 88, also called the Trail of Tears, observing residential areas adjacent to the algae bloom sites in Toledo, observing poor human stewardship of the planet. A phenomenology of edge space, a sort of poesis of enlivenment, offers points of collision and generates possibilities for renewal, a possible futurity. Reality must be faced with the body rather than through reason alone. Reproduction could be terminated by resin identification codes and other rigid numbers. Ruminate on habitat boundaries, rich layers of response to scientific overviews of watersheds. Consider scalability. Satellite and planetary viewpoints support the idea of manifest destiny, the slow violence and technologically mediated trauma of colonial capitalism, solastalgia, and despair. But serendipity takes me to a place that feels like a small shrine. Seeing myself in the land, I desire to become selfless, sustainable symbiosis made visible, shape-shifting symbiosis sheltered, short-circuiting the slow, reflective, perennial space of discontent. A structural shift towards sustainability, symbiosis, and interbecoming may feel tangled up. But this tender touching, like the development of maize from teosinte over many generations, might transcend theories of mastery and possession over nature. This unveiling is Aletheia, unable to fully act as a mollusk, a ubiquitous white substance with an unapologetic command of space and an uncanny lifespan. Unravel its hugeness with the viscosity of tendrils of algae floating in the water. Vibrancy and vitality can be harnessed in cyclical systems like video. This phenomenological tool contains the visible decomposition of waveforms and gives rise to weathering as a new way of looking at, feeling, climate change and ecological transformation. Walking into the edge space of corporate hegemony and environmental change, where white supremacist capitalist patriarchy meets the watershed, again, I watch myself. When a hen lays an egg, she sings out. But Willowbrook Mall is still surrounded by floating cars. Opening the window of time with knowledge prefers duty that then requires action. We are as the wind.
As we sit indoors near the banks of the Park River,
now buried but still flowing throughout downtown Hartford, and 3 miles away from its entrance to the Connecticut River to celebrate with Cohort 3, I'm grateful for what they've taught me. Well, we worked in COVID journals together, explored lichens, bacteria, rust, eggs, foam, confetti, paper, ecotones, ecosystems, death masks, soil, home, and water, from the elemental to the material to the pursuit of wonder. Cohort 3 asks that we see confluence deeply, through their watery traces and into their artistic supports and encumbrances. So I invite you to close your eyes as I read a paragraph about confluence from the COVID journals we each began this spring. Whether earthly oceans and congruent rivers accumulated gradually over millions of years from the escaping vapors of molten rock that comprised the Earth's crust and clung to a proto-atmosphere surrounding the cooling planet, or whether millions of celestial comets breached the frost line during a time of interplanetary collision, their icy planetesimals flung by the force of trans-Neptunian objects, blasting, dividing, and melting, or by divining, what we know is the moon did form, fixing the Earth's gravitational field, and the rain did eventually come. The Earth as protoplanet attracted typhoons of nebula gases and built a distended compositional atmosphere. A steam atmosphere formed by impact degassing from Earth-building planetesimals. Gravitational pull prevented hydrogen from leaving the planet and the proto-atmospheric layer lingered. The runaway greenhouse gas effect leaving the planet was no more a match for the metamorphosing vaporous shield, the mist, cloud, rain, hail, snow, sleet, although lighter elements like hydrogen and helium would continue to seep from the atmosphere into the space of cosmic disarray. We know over time seas did form. The Neptunian violence and abyssal sea quakes, alluvian deluges, waterspouts, eruptions, torrents, tourbillons, eddies, water partings, geysers, cataracts, whirlpools, maelstroms, inundations, cloudbursts, its vast circumterrestrial parabola, it fizzed, spit, shuddered, and quaked. Through speculative readings of isotopic ratios of the heavier noble gases, we know science can accept that the protoplanetary Earth had lost at least one ocean of water between the Hadean and Archean eras. Approximately 400 million years ago, the evaporation of a shallow sea resulted in the accumulation of hundreds of meters of halite and later volcanic rock. Rock stressed and stretched into small faults of cracked land in the area now often referred to as Connecticut from the Algonquin Quinticut, meaning long tidal river. During an ice age 2 million years ago, the Wisconsin formed, and 20,000 years ago, covered the Connecticut River Valley. These waters, buried in underground eddies aside submarine flora and fauna, and occasionally emerging in the Park and Connecticut rivers, kept fresh by Podunk, Tunxis, and Western Nahantic peoples, to name a few, cycling through counter currents and pulled to the oceans. These are the same waters that entangled Cohort 3. They're the waters Stowe traverses, collects from, and tells stories from. Leslie abstracts, represents, and gives urgent politic to. Gina places the body in while displacing waveforms from bringing them home. Rachel enlivens fungal spores at increasing intervals with, and Jarrod witnesses through cultivating with land in Rudy, Arkansas. Well, the Park and Connecticut rivers continually yearn for the ready influx of creative waters from the mountain ranges to the west and north. The family of Cohort 3 regularly renews, redefines, reinvigorates these watery affinities, adding active molecular memories in the form of artworks. A cohort of artists with tremendous compassion and courage who have journeyed together over these 2+ years as impacting and impacted listeners,
moving with the elemental yet unanswerable questions their vocation as artists insists they continually contemplate and they chance to articulate. Each person parses in their own nuanced languages. These questions they approach with alacrity, resignation, and the compulsion that's required to move towards the unanswerable, because like the origin of water on earth, art is what is unknown, its answers always out of reach. This year, together, we've had to embrace simultaneous uncertainties. At the confluence of multiple crises that are fueling and fueled by the connected and devastating effects of racism, a pandemic, and climate change, to name a few, we've seen crises bring about conditions that can also strengthen, that increase the very human abilities to love, and opportunities to take responsibility and to respond to each other and to position ourselves and one another in ways through which to continually reemerge. It's the vocation of the artist to continue weaving stronger fabric, and as artists and students of confluence and change, we're practiced at its teachings. We know that with change comes possibility. In times of upheaval, times of conflict, times of ideological ossification, times of exploitation, times of pandemic, times like today, the world needs the vision and guidance of the artists in this cohort more than ever, as many of us are actively searching for ways to survive, to reason, and to transcend. Art is essential work because in a world that is staggeringly complex, in which billions of dollars are thrown around to obfuscate truths, to push nefarious agendas, in which activism alone and anything alone can feel crushingly inadequate, art works in concert to counter prevailing cultures of tribalisms, lies, big data, and I believe even senseless death, with cultures that value individual life, solidarity, hope, imagination, and a commitment to envisioning and making manifest a future we all want to live in. We sometimes joke about how Cohort 3 wants to extend grad school indefinitely. Artists are essential, and now we need you in the world.
Hello, I'm here with this little life to congratulate you and say a few words about each of you. I wrote a little bit after visiting your show, which I had the great honor to do, and I wanted to address each of you individually. So I'll start with Jarrod. I approached that box of soil and I thought, there is a book, it is soil. There is a book, it is soil. Is the soil the book? And that egg, nuclear sci-fi sunrise, the egg, chirp, chicken, gold, art in the process of candling, a commitment to the present. You are a commitment to learning as art as learning, a commitment to the present, to now and to now and to now and to now. What stands out about Jarrod's work for me is his poetic artistic voice, his ability to adapt his ideas to this moment, to now and now and now. Whether telling a story in class, filling out a diagram and worksheet in the wildest of ways, or creating a proposal for a project, Jarrod prioritizes nuance, ambiguity, and the wild unknown. From you, Jarrod, I learned to be here, now and now. Thank you so much for that. And then Gina, those folds, the internal architecture you have found in shells and clay, the luscious interiors, your commitment to listening. What stands out about Gina's work is her ability to listen deeply, to respond, to build community. She has this acute attention to detail, and her peers look to her for support. I noticed that immediately. Her attention to the group and her desire to help, to be of service to those around her, is something that will be with her for life. Gina, you have discovered something beyond order in your new work, beyond the ability to attend to detail and to others. Yourself, a kind of flow in this luscious interior, this architecture, this internal form. Flow with it. Allow yourself to be central. I learned from you to ask better questions and to hold groups together. Thank you. And Leslie, light on water, contemplative ripples, a commitment to collective bodies on all scales. What stands out in your work is your deep interest in research, in the process of making research, and your unique ambition for both personal and collective growth toward environmental justice. Leslie is deeply present, asking questions, ready to learn and push her own learning as well as the group's learning. Leslie, you have the wisdom of process in these monoprints. You're holding light so delicately in them. Keep it going. The scales of knowledge in those prints resonate. I meditate with them. I learned from you to see traditional media, prints and drawings, as contemporary, anew. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. And Rachel, to smell, to cohabitate, an ethical practice that you can live with, that you can die with, that you can be in life cycles with. You have a commitment to the search for a truer way of being, and you have found some of it. We can smell it, we can taste it, we can sense it. What stands out to me about your work is your sensitivity to place, to being, to living, to life cycle. In addition to making sculpture, you're also an excellent draftsperson. Don't forget that. You're acutely present with the multi-species world around you, and on site visits, I would follow your eye to know what was there, what I was missing. I was drawn to the activities that allow me to be more in touch with the landscape through you. I learned from you to search and to search again for a more ethical practice. Thank you. And Stowe, the echo chamber Zoom Buddha, the alchemical implosion of decolonization, the glaze. That is a powerful work, a commitment to adventure and humility in the collective body. That's what I see in your commitment. What stands out about Stowe's work is his ability to move from the poetic, as in material and form, to the organizational, as in proposal writing. It's rare to meet an artist who can both manifest concepts in a compelling visual manner and also create strong proposals and a kind of managerial artistry with clarity, play, and descriptive and analytical skill. Stowe is also a great community member, always supportive, present, and ready to lend a hand. Stowe, from you, I learned to play and to notice how I show up, to be both humble and adventurous as we go forward together. So to the five of you, I think you already know what a wonderful group you are. I'm sorry I can't be there in person again to hug you and be near you and celebrate you, but I know that we'll be in each other's lives for a long time, and I appreciate you so much. Congratulations. Enjoy the day, and maybe I'll see you tonight.
Now we're at the part where we will award the diplomas. And before we do, I want to say to the cohort as a group, you have each touched my heart and you will be in it for all of my days. Thank you for all of the ways you've taught me and accepted my teachings. I'm going to be giving you some honey from my backyard hives. And you will always be part of the community of these bees and this place and this backyard, and you can always return to it. With that, let's award some diplomas. Jarrod Cluck. I know. Gina R. Furnari. Wait. Len. Wait. Leslie Sobel. Rachel Wojnar. Thank you again for joining us. We're wishing you all good health and safety as we conclude the graduation. I want to also invite you to join us shortly at 4 p.m. local time for the virtual opening and panel discussion for this exhibition. So again, congratulations to Cohort 3. Thank you for making this such a memorable day. To the faculty, thank you to Carla for handling the technology. And this concludes. All right, thank you.